We are going to dive deeper into the life of British composer Edward Elgar. We're also going to explore the artwork of Karin Larsson and his incredible wife, Karin. We're going to talk about meal planning and preparing our fall wardrobes. Welcome to the Chic Assignment Check-in for August. Hi everyone, Jennifer here, and welcome back to the Daily Connoisseur. In the Chic Assignment Check-in, we're going to dive deeper into all of the topics for the month of August, including learning more about the life of British composer Edward Elgar. We're also going to learn much more about Karin Larsson and his fabulous wife, Karin. We're also going to be looking at Chic Assignments 3 and 4. The Chic Assignment is brought to us by the Chic Society. They are the private membership group here on YouTube. If you would like more from this channel, I do a vodcast there once a week, and we do a live stream or a Zoom call once a month. It's a wonderful place where we all get to chat about more in-depth topics. So I just want to thank all of the Chic Society members for bringing us the Chic Assignment Check-in. I am about to give you the Elegant Connoisseur mentions. That's the very top tier. And throughout the video, you're going to see in the scrolling credits of the ticker, the Chic Connoisseurs, which is one of the other top tiers. And I just like to thank all of these patrons for helping me to produce these videos because they are very in-depth and they take a lot of work. So I just want to thank the Chic Society so much for bringing us today's video. Also, throughout the video, if you look down below, there are library cards, so you're going to get to see the different chapters of this video, as it is going to be a longer one, and the timestamps will also be in the description box. Thank you to Kristen King from All the King's Morsels, a food blog with easy Southern-inspired recipes with 10 ingredients or less. The Awesome Possum Powers YouTube channel by Shannon Beers. She has a YouTube channel that complements her wonderful book featuring her felted characters. Amy Floor from Azalea Spa Goods, handcrafted aromatherapy body oils. Dressed for My Day with Kay Harms, which encourages women 40 plus to care for and dress their bodies in a way that helps us influence our world positively and with grace. Freedom Moms by Ashley Buffa. Learning to treat chores as a family team is the key to creating and maintaining a tidy, organized home, and it's attainable through the Freedom Moms Smart Kid Chore System. Inspired by Nikki YouTube channel, Making the Everyday Beautiful with God's Inspired Word. Julie Coleman from My Confident Closet. Julie helps you build a seasonal wardrobe that fits your style and budget. Katie Rose, artist. Katie is an artist and writer compelled by the beauty of light illuminating darkness. Her original paintings can be found at katierosecollection.com. Nicole Brignol, founder of Lovely Bits Organic Intimate Care for Women. How to Love with a Healing Heart by Melanie Tito, a book on faith, marriage, motherhood, and growth. Rosenda Valenzuela from the Little Pink Casa channel. She inspires ladies in vintage homemaking, elegant lifestyle, feminine wardrobe, and romantic home. Claire Kerrigan, founder of Oh Wondrous Grace Chronicle, a faith-based magazine for women navigating the midlife with grace. Michelle Rohr from the Secret Owl Society Digital Planners. Michelle sent me one of her digital planners, and they are incredible. Mrs. T.J. Sturm from Sturm Brothers Jewelry, a family-owned, custom-designed jewelry store specializing in making heirloom jewelry into something special for the next generation to cherish. Something to cherish. Beautiful and meaningful products that promote the celebration and gift of life based off of the watercolor designs of artist Cherish Flighter. Also, thank you to Catherine Ray, Mercedes Gilligan, and the following: AAM Truth Teller, Angelica Lim, Bethany Baldwin, Carly Tom, Christine Bola, Carolyn Haydu, Denise Shawn, Jet Raleigh Heron, Heather Barrera, Jenny Candelaria, Leslie Morris from Gather and Grow, Linda Eckloff, Marie Caudill, Maria Condor, Melissa Ricci, Prudently at Home, and Tina Hugal. Thank you so much to the Elegant Connoisseurs. And now you're going to see the Chic Connoisseurs in the scrolling ticker as we continue with the Chic Assignment. All right, let's dive into the Chic Assignments. Chic Assignment number 1 was to listen to Elgar's Nimrod, and I assigned that brilliant performance by kanneh-mason. And I watched a bunch of Elgar Nimrods on YouTube, and that was my favorite performance. I felt like it had the most passion to it. I liked how it seemed, and I know it wasn't, but it seemed like it was a spontaneous gathering of musicians and that they just sat down and played this masterpiece. That's what the video seemed like to me, even though I know that that was just the production of it. But it was a truly beautiful piece, and there is that classic FM article that explains why Elgar's Nimrod makes us feel so emotional, and I can leave that article linked down below. But now let's learn more about the composer, because we have not studied Elgar, and I want to share a bit about his life with you. This information is coming from the elgarfoundation.org. Elgar was born on June 2nd, 1987 in Lower Broadheath, a small village near Worcester, England, and was the fourth of 7 children. His father, William, was a piano tuner by trade and owned a music store where he sold sheet music and musical instruments, as well as being a professional violinist. His mother, Anne, had a keen interest in the arts and encouraged an interest in music within all of her children. Elgar spent many hours with his father, and by age 8 he was taking both piano and violin lessons, though he also taught himself to play other instruments. He began composing at the early age of 10 when he composed the music for a play written and performed by the Elgar children. I'm noticing a theme here with all of these artists, that their parents, for the most part, encouraged their art. That isn't true for all of them, but it is true for many of them, and it's almost like that artist sensibility was really fostered in the home. Elgar attended the Littleton House School until the age of 15, all the while studying every music book and organ instruction manual he could get his hands on. He learned German in the hope that when he finished school he would further his violin studies at Leipzig Conservatory, but his father was unable to afford to send him. Elgar took up a position as a clerk at a local solicitor's office, which he disliked, so spent every spare moment reading. It was around this time that he first performed in public as a violinist and organist. After just a few short months at the solicitor's office, Elgar decided to embark upon a musical career, teaching piano and violin, as well as helping out in his father's store on occasion. Elgar's first post as a conductor was once a week at the Worcester and County Lunatic Asylum, located in Powick near Worcester. The band was made up by attendees playing various instruments, all of which Elgar became familiar with over the 5 years he worked with the instruments, writing music that suited the odd mix. Elgar was also professor of the violin at the Worcester College for the Blind Sons of Gentlemen. Elgar played a variety of instruments whenever he got the opportunity to do so, including the bassoon. As part of the wind quartet, his brother Frank was the oboist of. It wasn't until 1880 that Elgar was able to take his first trip abroad, visiting Paris and then Leipzig just 2 years later. During his trips, he took every opportunity available to him to attend concerts in which top-rate orchestras played the likes of Schumann, Brahms, and Wagner. Schumann became a fast favorite with the young composer and conductor. During his visit to Leipzig, he visited Helen Weaver, a friend who was attending the Conservatoire, and the two became engaged in 1883. The engagement was broken off the following year, and Elgar was very sad, which is reported to have been evident in some of his romantic music compositions in years following. In 1882, seeking to gain more orchestral experience, Elgar took up a position playing violin with William Stockley's orchestra in Birmingham, and for the next 7 years he would play in every concert performed. In December 1883, the orchestra performed one of Elgar's compositions for the first time, though it was a boost to his career to finally have his music performed. The road to recognition as a composer was often hard, and despite numerous trips to London to try to sell his compositions, most of them fruitless, Elgar was low on funds. It was at the age of 29 that Elgar met the woman who was to become his wife. Alice Roberts became a pupil of Elgar's, and despite being 8 years his senior, the two married 3 years later, much to the horror of her parents, who considered a musician beneath her. Alice dedicated her life to being his business manager and social secretary, doing everything within her power to get her husband the recognition she felt he deserved, though her tireless efforts brought only mediocre results at best. It was upon Alice's suggestion that the Elgars moved to London to be closer to the music world, and Edward devoted himself to composing full-time. Their only daughter, Carice, was born in 1890 at their West Kensington home. In 1891, the family was forced to return to live in Worcester so that Edward could earn a living once again as a conductor. Though it took considerable time and effort, Elgar began to build a reputation as a composer during the 1890s, with several pieces being performed publicly. Critics began to accept him as a composer of note, although their reviews were often polite rather than enthusiastic. He was now in demand as a festival composer, but his inability to make any significant income from his composing made Elgar depressed. His friend August Jaeger, in an attempt to cheer Elgar up, told him, "Your time of universal recognition will come." Jaeger was correct, and in 1899, at the age of 42, Elgar wrote the Enigma Variations, which were then premiered in London, conducted by German Hans Richter. His work gained positive reviews, being praised for its originality, charm, and craftsmanship, and finally, Elgar got the recognition he had long sought, being dubbed the British composer of his generation. On the heels of his newfound success, music lovers eagerly awaited Elgar's next works. He was knighted at Buckingham Palace in 1904. Elgar is probably the most easily recognized for his pomp and circumstance marches, which are still played often today, most notably at events such as graduations and at Britain's yearly Last Night of the Proms. So that is Edward Elgar's biography. I find it so interesting when we study the life of artists. So many artists seem to have the same theme, where they are passionate about their artwork but is not widely recognized until either much later in their lives or until after they are deceased. And so this happened with Elgar, but at least he was able to see that success. And actually, he saw it at the age of 42, which is quite young. So even though it seemed like it was a long road to that point, I'm sure that that was very gratifying for him. So Nimrod is part of the Enigma Variations. I'm sure we all recognize Pomp and Circumstance as well as other very famous Elgar pieces. So I enjoyed learning more about Elgar this month, and I hope that you did too. Chic assignment number 2 was to study the artwork of Swedish artist Karin Larsson. We're going to learn about Karin Larsson's life as well as the life of his wife Karin, because she is quite interesting. And I'm going to be showing some of his most famous paintings to you while I read to you. I'm getting this information from karllarsson.se, which is an official website devoted to his guided tours, his life, his artwork, and much more in Sweden. Before we begin, I just have to say that there are a lot of Swedish words here, and this is not my strong suit. I do not know how to pronounce any of them, basically. I'm going to do my absolute best, but I apologize in advance because I know that I'm going to be butchering a lot of these words, so I'm sorry. Let's just do our best here, and we're going to learn about Karin Larsson. Karin Larsson was born in Gamla Stan, the old quarter of Stockholm, on 28th May 1853. His family was poor, and Karl grew up in dismal circumstances. The only glimmer of hope was his strong artistic talent, which emerged early on in his life. When he was 13 years old, his teacher at the School for the Poor persuaded him to apply for a place at Principskolan, the preparatory department of the Art Academy. During the first years at Principskolan, Karl found it difficult to settle in. His sense of social inferiority made him feel like an outsider, but that changed when, at the age of 16, he was moved up to the lowest department of the Art Academy. He began to feel more confident, and it was not long before he became one of the central figures in student circles. After the Art Academy, Karl worked at illustrating books, magazines, and daily newspapers. He also spent several years in Paris, where he tried to establish himself as an artist, but in spite of all his hard work, he never achieved any success. I just want to break away here. It's so interesting how almost all of these artists, even the American ones, not even the European ones, they all go to Paris at some point. There's just something so inspiring about that city. The turning point came in 1882 when he moved to Scandinavian Artists' Colony outside of Paris. It was there where he met his future wife Karin and underwent an artistic transformation after abandoning his pretentious oil painting in favor of watercolors, a lucky move that would mean a lot for his artistic development. It was in Gret-sur-Loing that he painted some of his most significant pictures. Karl and Karin were married in 1883 and had 8 children. Karin and the children quickly became Karl's favorite models. In 1888, Karin's father Adolf gave them Lilla Hytnäs, a small house in Sundborn. Lilla Hytnäs became Karl and Karin's mutual art project in which their artistic talents found expression in a very modern and personal architecture, color scheme, and interior design. Karl's paintings and books have made Lilla Hytnäs one of the world's most familiar homes. But not only that, The quality of the light, Karin's liberated gift for interior design, and the lively family life as it is depicted in Carl's beloved watercolors has become almost synonymous with our picture of Sweden. The house still looks the same as it did when Carl and Karin lived there, and today's visitor to Lilla Hytnäs can almost hear the animated laughter of the children and catch the scent of the artist's oil paints. It does not always happen that the view of the artist and the view of his public agree. In spite of the huge popular success he achieved with his watercolors, Carl nevertheless felt that his monumental work, the frescoes in schools, museums, and other public buildings, etc., was more significant. So now let's learn a little bit about his wife, Karin Larsson. Okay, so I just looked on one of the pronunciation sites because I don't want to mess up her name. And I'm saying Karin, but I do believe in Swedish it would be Karin. And her last name is this right here. So I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it because I can't even understand what the pronunciation person said. Let's listen to it right here. This is how they say you pronounce it.
Karin Berge.
I can't, I'm just going to leave that one right there. I don't want to mess it up. Okay, Karin, or Karin, was born in 1859 and grew up in Hallsberg, where her father was a successful businessman. Karin's artistic talent showed itself early, and she began to study art at the Arts and Crafts School in Stockholm. Following this, she went on to the Art Academy in 1877 to 1882. After leaving the Art Academy, she moved to the Scandinavian artists' colony in the little village of Gräs outside Paris. When she was there, she met Carl Larsson and fell head over heels in love with him. They were married in 1883, and their first daughter, Suzanne, was born in 1884. They moved back to Sweden in 1885, first to Stockholm and then to Gothenburg, where Carl worked as a teacher at Valens Art College. Karin had stopped painting and devoted all of her energy to their large family, 8 children, and the home. In 1888, Karin's father, Adolf, gave Carl and Karin a small house. And this is the house that we learned about in the previous section. Karin's creative power and artistic taste is a very important component in Carl's art. The bold interior decoration, the modern textiles, the rustic furniture, most of which she designed herself. One could say that their artistic talents coexisted in powerful symbiosis. She created the home that he depicted, and together they created the motifs that have come to characterize the picture of Sweden that is cherished the world over. Karin has finally emerged from the shadow cast by her husband. The breakthrough came with the exhibition at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London in 1997, from which the following text is taken. Karin was Carl Larsson's muse. So thoughtful and quiet, he portrayed her as his idol, forever young. She was in fact hard-working, hard-headed, and highly creative. Carl relied upon her as a critic of his work. She trained as a painter at the Academy of Fine Arts in Stockholm and Paris. After the birth of Suzanne in 1884, she turned her artistry to decorating the home, especially to weaving and embroidery. She also designed furniture and her own and her children's clothes. Her most creative period was between 1900 and 1910. Karin's textiles were absolutely original. Pre-modern in character, they introduced a new abstract style in tapestry. Her bold compositions were executed in vibrant colors. Her embroidery frequently used stylized plants. In black and white linen, she reinterpreted Japanese motifs. Technically adventurous, she explored folk techniques and experimented with others. A good example of her bold weaving is the tapestry The Four Elements that she composed in 1903 to be hung above the new sofa in the dining room. At Sundborn, the Larssons developed an aesthetic partnership. He was effusive, covering the walls with foliage and flowers. She arranged the living flowers, but in her designs austere and often abstract. The colors of the interior seem to have been jointly decided. Their combined contributions created a perfect whole. So I thoroughly enjoyed learning about both of them. I think what a marriage made in heaven. His artwork and her interior design aesthetic, they just complemented each other. And it seems that they had a very vibrant and vivacious family life with their 8 children and their artistic home. Oh, to be a fly on the wall in that home. I absolutely love Carl Larsson's paintings. I'm going to leave beautiful books down below where you can explore them further, as well as places online where you can purchase his reproductions for your own home. Chic assignment number 3 was to explore the art of meal planning. So we had a video early on this month where I showed my meal planning process, and I also showed you my dinners of the week. That was one of the most popular videos I did this month, so I'm definitely going to continue that, as that shows me that's something that you are interested in. I actually have another meal planning video coming out later this week. It's going to be the next video, so I do hope that you will enjoy that video and that it will bring more inspiration for you to plan for your home. But I can definitely say that meal planning is just the way to go for me. It might not be for everyone, for people who like to be a bit more spontaneous, but I find that when I have a plan for meals, I'm so much more efficient. We are all so happy and we eat so much better than we do when we don't have one. So I would love to know your meal planning story in the comments down below. And finally, the Chic assignment number 4 was to prepare our wardrobes for the upcoming change in season. We are headed to fall here, and even though it doesn't feel like it in California, it is coming, and it is still important to write down what you're going to do or have some sort of a plan. Go through your clothes, find out what you don't want to wear anymore, get rid of them or store them if you can't decide. I think a lot of people have the trouble of just having so many clothes in their closet. They're all crammed in there, all different seasons together. It creates a lot of confusion when you get dressed. So even if you don't do the 10-item wardrobe, I do highly recommend that you go through your clothes at the beginning of each season to decide what is going to stay and what is going to go. That, at the very least, is going to help you to look presentable always and to help you hone in on your true style even more. I did publish a 10-item wardrobe video last week, and I will leave that linked down below. And I also have many more coming up for you. I'm so excited about fall, so I hope that you will join me on the journey. Thank you so much to everybody for joining in on the Chic assignment. I really love this series so much. It brings me joy to learn about all of these artists and composers, and I just can't wait to do September's with you, which is right around the corner. So thank you so much. Thank you again to the Chic Society. I will leave links to all of the elegant connoisseurs and the chic connoisseurs in my corresponding blog post, so make sure you check that out. Thank you so much. Take care and have a wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.